So I think if we start, yeah, it should be live. Yeah, it should be live. Let's see. Let's see. Yep, it's working. Yep, it's working. Nobody's watching, but it's working, but that doesn't matter. All right? Nobody's watching, but it's working, but that doesn't matter. All right? All right, you want to come in here?
Yeah.
All right, you want to come in here?
Yeah.
Instagram it. Instagram it. You want to go look? I guess it's fine. We can see it. We can see it here. You want to go look? I guess I can see it. We can see it. We can see it here. Just to see if we're actually in frame or anything. Just to see if we're actually in frame or anything. Are blocking it? Are blocking it? You want to switch the scene? You want to switch the scene? We'll just stand over there. We'll just stand over there. Well, that's the one that's on right now. Well, that's the one that's on right now. There's nobody watching right now, but this video will exist. There's nobody watching right now, but this video will exist later on. We've been playing around with stuff. RusEFI. We've been playing around with my new RusEFI new standalone setup we've been running. There's so many setup we've been running. Things that are involved in it. And there's so many tables and things that are involved in it. We want to show you some things in a short, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. We want to show you some things in a short, and we were, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. And we were kind of chit-chatting about, yeah, what was the, we were talking about, like the, there's just so much information you got. I mean, we're talking about the point is to kind of keep learning. There's just so much information you got. I mean, like the point is to kind of keep learning and continuing and whatnot, right?
Yeah, it's real easy to get good enough to do. It's real easy to get good enough to do what you need. Doesn't always measure up to what you want, but need doesn't always measure up to what it's more capable than a stock. In this case, you want to build a car that's more capable than a stock. And the other options, a stock that car, and the other options. That other management systems that do the job, other management systems that not until you start pushing out of that box that you find out that there's more. Until you start pushing out of that box that you find out that way more options, and you have to learn has way more options, which is good. And you have to learn as a result.
Yeah,
which is good.
So what happened when we first, or this started to kind of go on this what happened when we first, yesterday, this started to kind of go on this path earlier today. The car would fall on its face or die when it dropped to idle, and the car would fall on its face or die when it dropped to idle. Learning and trying to find out why. I changed a bunch of stuff just in the basic bits of the tune. I changed a bunch of stuff just in the basic bits of the tune, how it was laid out. But then we found some really kind of neat tables in the firmware that I've never seen. But then we found some really kind of neat tables in the firmware that I've never seen. Open source firmware like this. So Megasquirt, Arduino. Open source firmware like like this. So megasquare, Dyno. Those are the two. We really wanted to start showing things what's neat about this firmware. We really wanted to start showing things what's neat about this firmware and how remarkable how much the different things that they put into it. Remarkable how much the different things that they put into it. Where we excel a little bit is to show some things and help explain. We excel a little bit is to show some things. This is my 30. So as you've been watching videos, or this is my 30 that we've been playing with the videos, or if you've been watching videos, stock M20 we've been playing with. It went from RusEFI with our plug and plays, and then RusEFI with our plug and plays, and then the plan will be to turbo it. Start it tomorrow. So. We're gonna shoot this. This will be kind of short. I really want to show you a lot of stuff with idle. This will be kind of short. I really want to show you a lot of stuff with idle. And if you look at your screen, so we're gonna show you some tables. The tuning computer. You'll see the tuning computer and the dyno computer. Tuning computer on your screen. Dyno computer. Pop it up to a bigger on your screen, and we'll pop it up to so I can show you now. Talk you through some things. And so I can show you now. If the audio is a little bit goofy. The audio is a little bit goofy. If the audio is a little bit goofy, a lot of technology happening here all at once. We're got a lot of technology happening here all at once, and then worry about the little itty bitty details. Then worry about the little itty bitty details. If you have questions, ask if you're in the chat. Ask us or send us a message. If you have questions, ask later on the video. We'll ask us or send us a message or comment later on the video. So I'll pop in the car and I'll show you. So I'll pop in the car and I'll show you maybe the screen out there and listen and if like maybe bring the tuning computer full screen for a few seconds. Maybe bring the tuning computer full screen. So Tim will man the ones and twos. So Tim will man the ones and twos. So you won't see me out necessarily because I'll be in the car. And we'll just kind of hop. So you won't see me out necessarily because I'll be in the car. Tim can show you what's happening here. As Tim can show you what's happening here. Kind of explain what's going on. Kind of explain what's going on. Okay. So we have RusEFI. We have RusEFI. Car is or ECU is unplugged right now. I'm gonna plug that in, and it'll go live. And go live. Excuse me. So we've talked about before. No, I haven't talked about before. The RusEFI tunes. We've talked about before. No, I haven't talked about before. RusEFI tunes similar to Mega Studio. Uses Tuner Studio. Lots of Mega software. Uses Tuner Studio. Just like any other. And you can log with Mega Log Viewer softwares. Just like any other. We're going to talk a lot about mostly just off idle. Kind of show you some of the settings. We're going to talk a lot about mostly just things that I've learned. Kind of show you some of the settings with idle. Some things that I've learned. In idle drop down we have idle settings, idle hardware. So in idle drop down we have idle settings, idle hardware. These options will populate based on what your settings are. So these options will populate based on what your settings are. This is so idle settings, open loop or closed loop. So this would be if it's open loop, it's using just a base. Closed loop. So this would be if it's open loop, it's using just a base idle percentage for the idle valve. I have it set up for percentage for the idle valve. So it's going to be using this PID down here to be able to close loop. So it's going to be using this PID down here to be able to add. As if you have this open loop on, or open loop and closed loop on, if you have this open loop on, or open loop and closed loop on, okay, you're gonna see. So now we have a target RPM will show up. Okay, so now we have a target RPM watching or listen. We could go full computer screen here. Watching or listen, we could go full computer screen here. Would really help out, so you can see the whole screen. He's got that going already. Yeah, I think he's got that going already. The audio is super weird right now. The audio is super weird right now. It might be because I have the stream on. If it's funky, because I have the stream on. I guess deal with it because we're going to show you. If it's funky, and kind of I guess deal with it because we're going to show you what we can show you. So we have our target RPM. It's at 800. So we have our target RPM. Coolant temp sensor at 800. It's going to be based on the coolant temp sensor. Okay. So that it's going to ramp up. We're not diving too much into the PID because I don't know much about that. We're not diving too much into the PID because I don't know much about that yet. So
The PID is going to be how much control it has over that idle valve. The PID is going to be how much stuff up here is what we really learned about. The TPS, so anything stuff up here is what we really learned about. Off the pedal all the way is going to show anything below 3%. Off the pedal all the way is going to show RPM limit. So what this means is that anything 200 RPM limit. So what this means is that anything 200 RPM is going to be considered idle. So if set RPM is going to get, if we set this at 400, then it will be anything 1200 below. If we set this at 400, then it will be anything 1200 below is going to be considered idle in the way it's going to work, and the entire process of everything in the way it's going to work. This RPM dead zone, this would be how close to the RPM we really want to get. If we had this really low, how close to the RPM we really want to get. If we had this really low, really try to hit 800 perfectly, then it's going to oscillate because it's going to really try to hit 800 perfectly. We found out this setting here, the min max, that really found out really kind of came into it is that the min max that really kind of came into it is that the smallest amount that it can adjust, the smallest amount, 45 being the most it could adjust the idle valve. 45 being drop that probably down the most it can adjust the idle valve. So gives the PID less control, and that again gives the PID less control. I had to set it 30 originally and oscillate as much. Idling going bam. I had to set it 30 originally and it was idling going bam. It gives it very little adjustment. So down to 2 that way gives it very little adjustment. This is the CLT, so that's this coolant temp multiplier. So as CLT changes, coolant temp multiply based on a percentage. As coolant temp changes, 1.0 is going to be based on a percentage. No multiplication 1.0 is going to be above 1.0. So no multiplication, a number above 1.0, 1% here, second little all the way to 26% here. So like 1% here. Adjust our anything idle related. Okay. So it's going to adjust our anything idle related. Okay. So this coasting thing, this is what was really cool. This one we learned about this coasting thing. It'll really open that valve up. That what it does is when you're coasting, open that valve up. This overrides everything. When you're coasting, or it will set the valve. This overrides everything. Coasting, and you do have to turn this on to true or false. Here, use coasting idle table. That really does true or false. So this will help if we close that idle valve a whole bunch, and we this will help if we close that idle valve a whole bunch, and we drop idle more, and then worry about 2100 what happens, drop idle more, and then worry about 2100 what happens, open that valve open, so it saves it from falling, open that valve open, so it saves it from falling. This can kind of come handy. This would do some funny rev matching if you put this really high. This would do some funny rev matching if you put this really high. It'll help really hold the car, which hold it'll the whole RPM no matter what, because the valve will be open. The whole RPM no matter what, because the valve will be open. So that might be kind of interesting to do in between shifts, so it doesn't drop, almost like a flat shifting, but it's in between shifts, so it doesn't drop, almost like a flat shifting, but it's doing the idle valve rather than having your foot happening it. You're doing this closed loop timing. I've had this on pretty much the whole time. This closed loop timing. I've had this on pretty much the whole time. It adjusts timing to help our idle smooth and stay. Okay. So we're gonna show you. Okay. Cranking settings. We're gonna show you. We have this. Cranking base IAC position. This is a percentage of the idle valve. So right now, IAC position. This is a percentage of the idle valve. So right now,
yeah, I do too.
I got some weird double audio happening.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Maybe turn off the.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Maybe turn off the. It's got to be somewhere. It's got to be looping back
off all the way.
And the way it's got to be somewhere. It's got to be looping back. It's got to be
outputting.
It has to be the way it's got to be audio in OBS. It has to be the way it's using the audio in OBS, and then it's. That's when it happens. Yeah, I was seeing it too. So it's got to be. That's when it's got to be outputting both of those. So it's got to be somehow. It's got to be outputting both of those. The non things somehow. Delayed and the. It's got to be doing the non. I would guess go into the settings and go and like go deactivate everything except that mic and go and like deactivate everything except that mic. You know what I mean?
So for everyone watching this later down the road, we are learning, and this is. So for everyone watching this later down the road, we are learning. So and this is in the case of. Sometimes you got to do stuff. Okay. If you're watching this later down the road, in the case of super weird. Again, you have to just start down the road stuff, and you have to weird kind of. Again, you have to just start doing stuff, and you have to. That's how we kind of figured out what was going on here.
A little bit.
So that's how we kind of figured. Bear with us. We'll learn if anyone is really good at OBS. Bear with us. We'll learn if anyone is really good at OBS or streaming. Hey, let's see if this got any better. Tim will play with the audio a little bit. So let's see if this got any better. Tim will play with the audio a little bit. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah. how we kind of figure. Bear with us. We'll learn if anyone is really good at OBS. Bear with us. Yeah, it's still really delaying. You get both of them in there. Well, whatever. Onward we go. Because here we are. So cranking base idle right here, the 48%. So if you notice right here on our idle, we're at 48. And then what it's going to do, it's going to ramp down over 80 engine cycles. So you'll see this drop down, and it's going to drop down to 39 right here. We have set in the little slider guy. That's our base. That's our base idle. So it's not going to drop below that. Okay. I'm going to turn a couple things on the dyno. I'm going to turn my wideband on. I'm going to turn some fans on in the room, and then I'll start the car. And it's been sitting here for a minute, so I don't know what it's going to do. If it'll just start firing idle perfectly. But watch this idle position here. This is going to start at 48, and then it's going to idle down. It's going to drop down. No foot on the pedal or anything. So you can see it's dropping down at 39 now. So now it's considered idling. We're at 800 is what we want. If I would raise this up here from 39, let's just pull this up to show you. It brings our idle up, and it's gonna, now we're in closed loop, so it's trying to regulate, and it's trying to bring it down, because it's trying to bring us down to 800. So if I bring this back down to 49, or 39, excuse me, that's where it really likes to stay. And we're going to show you this coasting thing, okay? So if I blip the throttle, what this here is doing, so this on the left is, or the left side of the column is RPM, and then this is the actual idle valve it wants. So if you notice, it's in idling mode right now. Down here on my mouse is moving around, it says idling. If I would tap the throttle and come up above like 1100 RPM, it's going to consider it running or coasting, or different modes. Main, wide open throttle. There's some different spots in here, and we'll show you some different videos throughout the time and kind of explain all this stuff. So if I blip it, so what happens is you see down here where it says coasting, and then what this table is going to take over. So it's going to be anything, right now I have set anything 2700 or above is going to be 20, okay? And then anything, and then as it drops to 2100 RPM, it's going to actually open that valve up, and it'll interpolate in between all of that. So it's going to open that valve up, so it helps parachute or kind of catch the engine. So if watch me do some, I'll really come up high. Watch the idle position. It's going to go to 20, and then right about 2100 RPMs, it's going to start ramping itself up. See how it catches it? So let's put this really low. We're going to put this at, actually let's raise this up higher. We're going to put this at 40 all the way across the board. Now watch. Now it'll drop a lot slower. And then it kind of comes in over that area. So if we drop this all the way down to like 10, so that idle valve is going to stay really closed. Then that idle valve is going to open up to kind of catch us. I don't know if that really worked all that well. I'd probably put that at 25. That seems to be good. And then maybe even here we put this at like 39. Let's start to catch it. You can see that in this area, this 2100 and below is where it starts catching the idle, and it starts to slow the whole thing down. We're going to turn the other, that's fine. So this table here, super neat in the way it affects idle. You heard that little, or maybe you heard that there was a little backfire there on the top. And what happened is I do have decel fuel cutoff is on. So when I kind of get on it, this area here, this last fuel injection, this is the pulse width of the injector. So as I blip that, what it's going to do, we get up above your higher RPM with that you'll see that go down to 0, and then around 20, let's look and see what it's set at. 2,400 RPMs, it's going to bring back in. 2,600 RPMs or above is where it's going to cut. So if I just blip it tiny, just little bits, it won't come up. But if I bring this up above 3,000 RPMs, it's going to drop this down to 0. Just for a little bit, and then we add fuel back in at 24. So the reason for that is it saves fuel on the overrun. When you're coasting down a hill or something, you're not dumping all this extra fuel in. Now, you also want to kind of have extra fuel in there because it does help cool everything down, okay? So that's kind of what's going on. Let's do a couple little pulls, just kind of for the hell of it, since we're on here, and you can see what goes on. So with the issue that I was having before, when I do a hard pull all the way up to the top, what it would do is it would it'd stall when I let off the throttle. So let's see if that doesn't do that now. The cars are cooled off as we ate lunch, so let's see if it doesn't do it. I'm gonna roll this window down a little bit so maybe the mic will pick up a little bit of sound, maybe. Okay. We're doing third gear pulls. We're gonna data log, I'm gonna data log this. And now what we're really kind of watching here again is this is all more worried about the idle stuff. So we're coasting, and when I floor it and we come down, this should drop down as we coast, and it should catch us as we fall, if you will. So we'll start the dyno, floor it, take it all the way up to red line, and then clutch in and see if she doesn't stall like it was doing before. Forward. Awesome, it did what we thought it was going to do. So following along, if you noticed, we did the hard pull, RPM came up all the way, we bounced off the limiter, and then it dropped as we came down RPM-wise. Our idle position did what it needed to do to catch us. So we didn't just fall right down to nothing. I've never seen this really on many other setups. Maybe it is on Megasquirt or Megasquirt 3 or some of the other code, but this works really well, and I'm really excited about offering all this stuff and all the little bits and intricacies that happen to it. What power do we make? 138, 145. Look at that graph. Our AFR 12.5, and this is an open loop. We went a little bit lean 13s. I mean, this is NA, so it's not a big deal. Let's do something else here just to show you, which is cool. We're going to turn some more data on the computer. Total correction, fueling math, and we're going to do total correction. Okay, so this is actually what it's adding or removing. We're going to go to closed loop fuel correction. We're going to turn that on, and we're going to. So right now, it's got 10% adding. We allow it to add or remove 10%, okay? And it should then be adding, it'll start adding or removing fuel based on this. We're gonna, idle region below, let's see. So this time on a pull, let's see what she starts doing. It should start adjusting fueling here. Oh wait, this might be the wrong one. Fueling, fuel trim. There, so we're pulling 9% of fuel right now. I gave it 10% either way, is all I gave it. So now let's do another pull. And this time we'll do a pull with fuel correction on, and we'll see what it does. So you're watching our fuel correction table here, and we'll see if it changes the AFR on the same exact tune. We didn't change anything else. We're just letting it kind of do its thing. Okay. Start the dyno, hit the floor of the car. So if you notice, it's pulling some fuel. Oh, it's the limiter. Stop the dyno. Look at that. Save and close, and look at our graph now. Oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. Unzoom guy. Auto scale. Okay, so this white line is our one I just did, and now our goal is to be about 12, a little bit lean there across the board. We have it is two different oxygen sensors. So there might be a little bit of discrepancy between the car and the dyno, but we made more power, 143 and 145, because it probably was a little bit fat across the board on the car side. Okay, so it's doing what it's supposed to do. Neat that we have fuel trims here, and then all right, we have a target AFR table. So right now, as you notice, I'm targeting about 13 on the idle. If I bring this up, let's bring this up to 14. And our correction, look at that. It's actually, it just did what it was supposed to do. Now we're swinging back and forth as it's adding or moving to target 14. I think some of these, they like to run a little bit rich. So that's why I had that targeting 13. We're gonna put it at 13.5 and see how she likes that. But it idled pretty nice at 13. These are 42 pound injectors on any car, but it's gonna get turboed, so that's the reason. If you watch that RPM when it drops, how it kind of catches in that 2 to 1 range, it like has that little pillow, and it catches so it doesn't die all the way. Right there. See how it kind of just settles in there like a nice little guy. All right, guys. I hope that was. We're gonna turn some stuff off. I hope that was a little bit of information. And again, we're gonna do some more of these where we actually edit them and explain things a little bit better, but if the audio is funky, we'll work on that too, because life's a learning experience. Have a good day, everybody. Catch you later. So Tim, if you're on there, turn us off.
What was it? Did you stop it?